Booger McFarland's here, ESPN, ABC college football analyst, one of the best, and a friend of ours. Love having him on. Boog, how was your summer? Are you ready for football?
Yeah, summer's good, man. I mean, I'm not going to rush it. It's almost over. Not quite over yet.
I'm with Booger.
Yeah. I am glad football's here, but I am not quite ready for summer.
I'm not going to rush
it.
That's
to be
the
over
line.
with. Yeah, that is. It's been an eventful summer. A lot of talking. What are you most interested in this landscape of college football as we head into another season?
Well, just to kind of see from the have and the have-nots. You know, last year a lot of schools boasted about how much money they spent and about how much the roster cost. And, you know, Ohio State finally wins the championship and Ryan Day gets that monkey off his back. You fast forward throughout the summer, you got the House settlement, you got the President of the United States chiming in about NIL, and then now we get to the 2025 season. And so it's kind of like who are going to be the have and who are going to be the have-nots. There's some coaches under fire, some coaches they got to win. You know, you think about Lincoln Riley, all the money that they spent at USC, he's got to win. You guys know up there in Arkansas, Sam Pittman, they brought Sam back. Sam's got to win. I think when you look around the country, there are several coaches that are in position that need to win. And then I think ultimately this comes down to quarterbacks in the game of football. You look at Arch Manning, what's happening with him. Down in Baton Rouge, Garrett Nussmeier, South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, Clemson, Cade Klubnik. There's a lot of guys, and even Oklahoma with John Mateer, there are a lot of guys that we think can be really, really good. Some we think are going to be generational, but we still have to go out and see it, right? Like we've heard so much about Arch Manning. We need to go see it. John Mateer, when he was at Washington State, we need to see can that translate to the SEC. Garrett Nussmeier, people think he could be a top pick. We need to see it. So there's a lot percolating right now throughout college football. But I think once we get to games in about a month, I think we're going to settle in, and then we'll get back to what we normally do, which is we wake up on Saturday morning, we watch College Game Day, and we get ready to settle in because it's the greatest game being played in our country right now because it's played by 17 to 21-year-olds, and you never know who's going to show up or how they're going to show up on any given Sunday or any given Saturday. And even though NIL and transfer portal is kind of dim the whole tradition thing based on, you know, where you come from and what school you're at. Once we get to Saturdays, man, it's still college football. It's still my school versus your school. I think that's why we love it so much.
Booger, you said something about haves and have-nots, and I want to circle back to that. We obviously focus on the SEC, Arkansas. There are a lot of have-nots in the SEC. I mean, there aren't many teams that have won the championship. For the fans of the have-nots, as you put it, not just in our conference but around the country, where do you find the hope in the modern climate today?
Well, I think you find the hope that ultimately football is a show-me game. So it doesn't matter how much you pay for something. That really doesn't matter once you get between the lines. You know, the greatest thing about football is you got to show up and do it. The game's not played on paper. The game's not played in an app. The game's not played on television. The game's not played by guys in suits like myself. The game is played between the white lines. You got to strap your chin strap up, put your mouthpiece in. You got to knock somebody in the mouth. And I think that's where you find solace at, as far as it really doesn't matter sometimes how much money you spend, because any given Saturday, you got to be able to show up and get it done. Like, you got to be able to show up and play, and you got to do it under pressure, right? Like, Michigan had no business beating Ohio State last year, but Michigan did it because they showed up and they played the game the way you should play it. And any given Saturday, as I said earlier, you never know how 17 to 21 years are going to show up. I mean, did I fail a test on Friday? Did my girlfriend break up with me on Thursday? What type of mindset am I going to go in? Like, you kind of understand that when you become an adult and play pro football. But college football, you have no clue whatsoever how these young men are going to show up and play. And so I would say for those who think they're the have, and even for those who think they're the have-nots, man, it's really simple. Football is a show-me game. It is earned, not given. It is something that you have to go out and work at day in and day out. So put the work in, man. It doesn't matter what the paper says. Put the work in and show up. And when toe meets leather, let's see if my team is better than your team.
Booger McFarland, ESPN, ABC, college football analyst. when you look at Arkansas, they're not in the same, game sometimes as Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, that don't have the same recruiting base, but also have had success, here and there over the last 2 or 3 decades. When you think of Arkansas, what do you think it takes to win here?
Well, I think you got to understand first and foremost who you are, man. Like identity and self-awareness to me is the number one key in life. Understand who you are, understand what you are, and understand how you can get it done. I think that's number one. When you look at the people that have had success, whether it be in a short period or a long time in Arkansas, they've always understood that. Houston Nutt, his name comes embrace who you are. That's number one. Number two, you got to be able to get players. And there was a point in time where, Arkansas maybe couldn't recruit because of it was an uneven playing field because, the talent base in Arkansas is not as plentiful as in Texas or Louisiana, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and so on and so on. But now with the transfer portal and guys want an opportunity to play, man, I think you got to be able to embrace that. Schools like Arkansas, schools maybe where you wouldn't normally be able to go into certain states and get guys, you can do that now. And so I think the number one thing you have to be able to create on your campus now is culture. In this NIL era and transfer portal era, you have to create culture where guys want to come play. It's not just about money. I think initially when this whole thing got started, everybody went, it's just going to be pay for play. And there was a period of time where that was the case. But I think in the last few years, people have realized there's money everywhere. Where can I get the opportunity to go and be a part of something special from a culture standpoint? And what I mean by culture is this. How do you feel when you show up to work every day? How am I treated? How do we go about our business? Am I getting better? Am I being challenged? Or am I just coming in and just kind of checking boxes? I think if you're Sam, and if Sam asked me the number one thing he needed to do at Arkansas, I would have told him years ago, create a culture of competitiveness, create a culture where guys want to come to work every day, create a culture where guys want to get in the building every day, and last but not least, create a culture of competition. Just compete. At the core of who we are competitors. We are guys that like to compete. I don't care where you are or how much money you make. We play this game for the competition. We play this game for the ability to be able to compete. And I think if you do that, eventually you'll be able to not only compete, but you'll be able to compete with some of the guys that maybe have more money, that maybe have more resources. And I think that's what schools who say, you know what, we can't afford the $25 million rosters. I think that's what they have to do.
Are there schools out there, and is Arkansas one of them, that are basically portal schools? Your recruiting base is not very good. You better be a good portal school if you're going to compete.
Yeah, of course. I think anytime you're a school and you're not in those 5, 6, 7 states where you can just walk down the street and pick players, yeah, I think you're going to wind up being a portal school. And that's okay. Like, to me, the portal, even the landscape. So there was a period like 10 years ago where if you weren't touching or part of Louisiana, Florida, Texas, Ohio, Pennsylvania, California, like you were in trouble because those players didn't want to leave those states. And if they did, they weren't going very far. But what the portal did was, okay, if I'm a kid and I'm a 5-star or I'm a 4-star that's a late developer, and am I going to go to Alabama and sit for 2 years and then play? Or am I going to go to Arkansas where I can play right now? Most kids want to play, man. Like, nobody wants to sit the bench. And so the portal really, I think, helped Arkansas. The portal helped Missouri. The portal helped the portal helped schools where you normally couldn't just go in and say, hey, you're very talented. You don't have to wait. You can come play here. So for that reason, I love the portal. Now, I do hate the portal because, to me, the portal doesn't teach mental toughness. Because if you're a kid and let's just say you're not playing well right now, or the coach got on you, or the coach told you to go to class and you don't like it, you can just take your ball and run home. And to me, that doesn't promote what we want for our kids. Like, sometimes you need tough love. And I think the portal really eliminates for a coach to have tough love. I think that's one of the reasons why Saban got out. Like Saban, his whole deal, man, he's been able to create diamonds, man, and he does it under pressure. He does it because, like, he knows I get you on campus. Like, he'll electric slide at the house and get you to sign that paper. But once you get to Alabama, like, like, we're going to work, and he's going to get on you. And some kids can handle it and some can't. And I think the portal really minimized for coaches like Nick, who have created so many great players, more importantly, so many great men. The portal kind of minimized those guys. And I think, even though that's not the only reason, I think that's one of the reasons why they got out.
Yeah. And we're in a weird landscape right now, obviously, with college football. I wonder, about just the competitiveness of, I don't know if competitive balance or parity or any of that is really the right way to say it. But, Booger, we've got the same group of college football teams competing for the national championship every year. And as the playoff becomes a bigger deal, what do we need to do as a sport to make other fan bases feel like they've got some sort of shot? You talked about the portal, and I thought that was really insightful. But I see these commissioners, and they're all just out here defending their own leagues. And if you happen to be in the SEC, I mean, how you cracking that top 4 or 5 or 6 to have a chance to be in the playoff? You look at other schedules and other leagues, and they're not as Indiana doesn't get in if they play in the SEC last year. Arkansas maybe wins 10 games if they've got Indiana's schedule last year. Where do you see us going in college football, if anywhere, to change any of that?
Well, I don't know if anything's going to be able to change it. I think what the commissioners are trying to do, if you look at what Sankey's done, what Tony Petitti's done, who's the commissioner of the Big Ten, is they're trying to come up with a model that can identify and acknowledge what you just said. So does the SEC get 4 teams in? Does the Big Ten get 4 teams in? Like, whatever model they come up with, I think is going to try to encompass the fact that the schedule in the SEC is the toughest in the country. I think it's going to try to encompass that. So if we go 4 automatic here, 4 there, if you're a top 4 team in the SEC, then you'll be able to make the playoff. I like that on one hand. On the other hand, I would say, what if some years the SEC has 5 teams? I don't know if I want to limit the number. And so I'm kind of torn going back and forth between how many teams I want to allow in. Not really sure yet. I would just say that I think Greg Sankey is the smartest person in college football. Doesn't mean he knows it all, but I think he has the right demeanor to be able to kind of understand the landscape, and he doesn't let the emotion get involved, right? Like some people, well, my conference is better than yours. Well, okay, ACC, probably not. Like let's back up a little bit. But I think Greg understands. Hence, Bo, if you think about it, like the biggest issue now is not only the playoff format, but the 8 or 9 game schedule. Like if you're the SEC, why do you want to add another conference game?
Right.
It's already the toughest conference in the country, and everybody's playing one Power 4 opponent already. So you really got 8, 9. You really got out of your 12 games, you got 9 Power 4 people already, 8 of them in the SEC. I'm not in favor of adding a 9th conference game. For what? Like, all you're going to do is make your conference schedule a lot tougher. So, I think Greg has the right idea. Whether or not it gets done, we'll see.
Hey, we'll get you out of here with this. Who are the top 3 or 4 teams in college football in your mind? And I know predictions can make fools of all of us, but who do you think are legit contenders this year?
Well, I think Notre Dame's going to be really good. I think what they have with Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price at running back, I think is going to be something that you can count on. Their offensive line is really strong. I just love Marcus Freeman, man. Like he is he's the new young coach that everybody. If you think about what Kirby was like 10 years ago, that's what he is. Mm-hmm. Like he's that new young defensive guy that gets it, that everybody wants to play for. So I would say Notre Dame. I would say Penn State. They got a veteran team coming back. The biggest question is, can James Franklin get out of the way? Because he screwed it up a couple times, you know. I don't know. We'll see. But from a talent standpoint, They got everything you can ask for. They got a really good defense. They got a veteran quarterback. They got 2 running backs that are right there with Notre Dame. Texas, they're talented. They're going to be young. Nobody knows what Arch Manning is going to be able to do. We think we know, but you just don't know until you get out there and face that gauntlet, man. And then I think those are three teams that I would say you can count on. Now, we all assume what Alabama's going to be. We assume what LSU is going to be. We assume what South Carolina is going to be. We assume maybe what Arizona State's going to be based on what happened. But, like, I don't really know. I can give you a scenario where all those teams I named are 7-5, and that's really not good. But I think when you look at the schedule, when you look at the talent, I think you look at Notre Dame. I think you look at Penn State. Like, those are a couple of teams you can really count on, man. And then, as always, we'll wind up seeing once toe meets leather, man. And that's the greatest thing about our sport, Bo. That's the thing that, like, we all love. Like, in about 30 days, on August the 30th, we're going to turn our television on, and it's going to be one of the greatest days of college football of the year.
It's so true.
It's going to be Ohio State and Texas. It's going to be Alabama at Florida State. It's going to be LSU at Clemson. And I think we're going to learn, even though it won't be the end-all, be-all, we're going to learn a lot that day about who's who and who's what.
Yeah. I mean, I get excited thinking about it. It's going to be fun. By the way, we talk about the SEC and the toughest schedule, and I agree 100%. But the Big Ten has won the last two national championships, and you just named two other teams that have a legit shot that are not in the SEC to win the national title again this year. Could the SEC go 3 years in a row without winning one?
Yeah, they could because okay, think about this. So, if who's the dominant team in the SEC this year? Like, there really isn't. Like, on paper, if you say Texas is the most talented, but they got a first-time starter at quarterback. If you say Georgia is talented, they got a guy who nobody really believes in at quarterback. LSU, you say they got a veteran quarterback, but how's the defense going to be? They couldn't play defense last year. If you look at Alabama, they're breaking in a new quarterback. South Carolina's got a quarterback back, but can they do it week in and week out consistently on that level? Like, if you think about what's in the SEC and you think about the teams that are the most talented teams, they all have a flaw. And what does that mean? Typically, that means you're not going to be able to go through this schedule like you want to. So I think Vegas is over-under on win total. Nobody in the SEC has a win total above 9.5, I think, or 10 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So that tells you how much quote-unquote parity there is at the top. And I just think the Big Ten schedule is a lot easier. Like Oregon, if you told me right now Oregon had 10 wins, Penn State had 10 wins, Ohio State had 10 wins, like those three teams are going to be in the playoff. And so the opportunity to win a championship is going to be there. I just don't know how the SEC is going to shake out as far as what teams are going to be able to, A, be consistent, and B, be able to mask some of their flaws. Because I think a lot of teams have flaws. Like there's no dominant team right now in this conference. There's a lot of teams we think are going to be good, but we really don't know until toe meets leather.
Interesting stuff. That's a good look at it. Booger, thanks for making time for us, man. Really appreciate it. Enjoy what's left of summer, and we'll catch up down the road.
Anytime, Bo. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Booger McFarland.